We've also mentioned SLAs between teams, and often when we're talking about scaling an application, we're trying to avoid failure. But should architects actually be designing for failure when they're building an application for scale?
So absolutely. I'm a big fan of chaos testing, and the original model that Netflix put out was golden, and something I very much promote. Anytime I'm working with an organization, is I talk about chaos testing as an integral part of the application. I often hear a lot of companies talk about chaos testing as something they do in dev environments or staging environments, and no, you want to do chaos testing in production, in live running production systems. You want to do what sounds crazy. You want to disable services in production. You want to turn them off. You want to break them. You want to do odd things to them. And you want to do that on a regular basis. You want to do it continuously because you want to see how your system responds. You want to be able to do that at a time when people are paying attention to the system. People in the company are paying attention to the system, so they can understand how failure works in the system and can do the proper techniques to prevent that from happening. Think of the case of a programmer who's putting in a change for something, and it's in a service A, and one of the things service A does is it talks to service B, and someone says, well, what happens if service B is down? And often the response is, I can't worry about that now. I've got a deadline. Service B never goes down. We'll worry about that when that problem comes up, and we'll just put this out and we'll just assume it's going to work. Well, you've just introduced technical debt in the system because service B will fail at some point, and now you have an unknown issue that's occurring. But if you know, as an engineer, that service B fails regularly and you have to deal with it, you're not going to make those decisions. You're going to say, I need to deal with this now because right after I deploy it at some point in time, service B is going to fail and I'm going to have to deal with it. And you know it's going to happen. You're not going to defer those decisions as often. You're going to make the right choices up front. And if you don't make the right choices, either intentionally or accidentally, you're going to notice and you're going to find the problems earlier and with more attention on them than at 2:00 in the morning, 6 months later, when some random thing happens and you don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. So I'm a firm believer in chaos testing. I'm a firm believer in build for failure. And I'm also a firm believer in fail often, fail fast, and find the problems quickly.
Takes some confidence to do chaos testing in production environments though, right?
It does. It's a very tough pill, almost an impossible pill for a company who's never done it to say, okay, now we're going to do it in production. Yeah. So you usually have to build them up to that. You say, okay, let's start with staging. Let me show you how it works. And let's do something simple. Let's do let's bring down a server that's a spare. Let's see what happens and show you how you respond to that. And you build it up little by little. And it's a lot easier to build chaos testing in at the beginning than it is later on. Not only from a technical standpoint of building it in, but from a cultural standpoint. And so, the other thing that says is if you're developing a new application, build these sorts of scaling concepts in from the beginning, these availability concepts in from the beginning, because it's so much easier to think about chaos testing before you have a customer than it is after you have 1 million customers.
Well, you mentioned that concept of